Hello, my name is Nujum. This mic has been kind of unwieldy. Actually, hold on. 1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3, click. Alright. Hello, my name is Nujum. This is the promised, research video. I think that's what I'm calling it. And this is going to be the research video for Bastion. Now, my goal with this video is to take a chance to learn about games developers, right? Which I think has a lot of ups and downs, especially for someone who is interested in game design. Okay. No, don't press so many buttons. You can see I have a wealth of tabs for us to check out today, but first and foremost, let's take a look at some of the things Wikipedia has to say about Bastion. For one thing, extremely well rated, as I think it deserves to be. The second half of the game really knocks the game out of the park in terms of as an experience, right? I think it does deserve, if not a 10 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, right? It's developed by SuperGiantGames, designer, composer, writer. It's all great. It's got so many awards. What's really interesting here, it doesn't have a publisher. Why is that important? Because so far, we don't really have a proper definition of the term indie game, right? I mean, if I look at, I should have pulled this up earlier, indie game. What is a definition of an indie game? Well, there's websites that talk about indie game. There's this Game Jolt website, which I really enjoy, which is just literally, hey, I made a video game and I want to put it up somewhere that's not Congregate. Let me put, oh no, there's problem with that server. But basically, what people within the industry have told me, or at least what I've been hearing from other people, is that an indie game is a game without a publisher. It's not got a lot of marketing behind it, and it has to find its own self-published way to get on the internet and get people's attention and get people to buy it, right? And independent games tend to be interesting because there is very much a community for them, but the community actively tries to be original and unique, and sometimes this backfires in a number of ways. But never mind that. Let's talk about Bastion some more, because I haven't done it enough, have I? After these past few episodes. Let's specifically talk about this song. Now we're going to hear a little bit of it. So you hear that song, right? We're not going to go too much because I'm worried about copyright. I don't think I'm going to get copyright struck. But that song has a very slow, relaxed vibe to it. And so I went ahead and pulled up the lyrics to the song. I dig my hole, you build a wall, I dig my hole, you build a wall. One day that wall is going to fall. Gonna build that city on a hill, gonna build that city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill. What I find really interesting about this song, for one thing, is they have this sort of almost back and forth argument. Back and forth argument. Fork. I just had the mental image of two people hitting each other with forks. But no, this back and forth of I'm building a wall, that wall is going to fall, right? It sounds like someone is being taunted, right? And the main reason I pulled up this YouTube video is because I wanted to look at the comment section now. Generally, YouTube comments can be very biased. They can be largely things like, most of the people need to know about this game. Oh my god, it's so good. I just finished it. I mean, hey, I appreciate that you're not being idiots in the comments section. At least they're saying something of relevance. I don't even know what this is. But hey, it's kind of. It's the emotion, so much emotion. But what I found really interesting was this comment. And this was the most interesting comments. In my opinion, the reason we have comments section isn't to just appreciate a piece of work, it's so that we can debate and argue and have a discussion. And in a lot of ways, YouTube's comments section doesn't really encourage that, which I am disappointed by, and I hope they fix in the future. But for now, this will be fine. This is a song by the who were upset with the Ceylonian people for building the rippling wall to keep them out. Zia was an by blood, but she probably never knew what the song meant, having always lived in Ceylandia. I disagree with that. You can check out her lore for more information. She was more likely heard it from her father, the man who caused the cataclysm. Well, that's a spoiler. Shoot. I know before this I said go buy the game and play it yourself. Now I apologize because I just gave you a massive spoiler. I wanted to reply. Oh, I can't reply. I'll reply later. This is actually fairly important to recognize, and it's something that I actually didn't realize just by reading the song. Yeah, it's like a war chant. This is the telling Ceylandians, hey, you know that wall, we're gonna knock it down. Hey, you built that wall and it's done now, but now you can't run away from us when we invade you. That's super in my head type of stuff. Now I still think it's a great song. I still listen to it all the time. But it being a literal war chant, I think really reinforces the atmosphere of the game in a very strong way. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the community some more, because I think the community around the game is very interesting. Let's take a look at this cover by this girl, Michelle Sudarsono. No offense, Michelle, but you look like you're 12. I'm pretty sure you're much older, but whatever.
Someday those tears are gonna spill.
Alright. So, what do we see? Well, for one thing, the video has some kind of filter on it. Obviously, it's sepia. I know what sepia filter looks like. And it's intentionally intended to be old school, maybe cowboy-y, just because this sounds like a cowboy sort of background music. She only has one instrument. By the way, I'll link all of these, not all of these tabs, but I'll definitely link this tab at the very least in the description down below so you can check it out. This is sort of what she got out of this song. Sepia, I think. Yeah, it's definitely sepia. Feeling a bit cowboyish, decided Bastion. Yeah, okay. So this is what I wanted to talk about, because I think people interpret Bastion differently. I think when I first talked about the theme of the game, I interpreted it as something more of a medieval sci-fi cyberpunk, which doesn't even make sense, right? But she interpreted it more of a cowboy, old school type of style. But maybe even medieval-ish, right? And I find it interesting that we can interpret a game so many different ways, and maybe more importantly, we can value different parts of a game quite heavily, right? I think more people put importance on the narrator. Most people put more importance on the narrator than I did. And just to expand that point, I wanted to pull up the wiki. The wiki, I think, is most interesting because it shows what people really valued or got confused about with this game. What were people wondering when they played this game? Now, usually you have this random page. Don't worry about that. Photos, pictures, screenshots. Screenshots. What's the very first thing you see in the Bastion wiki? Characters. And this, I think, is very interesting. Is Zolf's not here? Oh, Zolf's not here. Okay, that's weird. This is something I think is very interesting, because I think this signals that because it's all exposition based, all of the narration is done through dialogue, through the narrator directly talking to you. It's very easy to miss sections of that dialogue if you're not paying attention, and maybe not really remember, wait, who is Zia? What is she doing? Wait, she's Aura? When was this mentioned, There's certain clues you might not catch on to, and you'll have to go to the wiki and look it up, Levels is the next most prominent thing, obviously. Actually, no, the weapons are probably more prominent than the levels. Ceylandia. So we have all the monsters. Wild? Oh, the wild monster, Ceylandia. Okay. Makes sense. Mementos. Ooh. That's pretty cool. So yeah, not something you need when you play the game. The game's not like one of those storybook type of games where you're making a lot of decisions and you really want to refer to the wiki. But enough that if you're confused about anything, hey, the community has got your back, right? And in comparison, I wanted to look at Titan Souls, which is a game I've already played. Go ahead and check out that series, even though I'm thinking of revisiting it. Now, we do still have, like, this is the developer type of stuff, but what I find interesting about Titan Souls is that it has getting started tips. And this is, I think, because Titan Souls tutorial is simple and straightforward. But in terms of gameplay, I think people recognize that there's a lot of skill to be had in Titan Souls. And obviously the most interesting thing was all of these bosses. Woo! There's even speedruns in the beginning, like in the wiki, and I think that's just because the wiki didn't have a lot to teach. Like, yeah, the bosses are very interesting. The world secrets, the lore, is kind of interesting, but you have to be like a super nerd to care about that stuff, right? So it's just not very... There's not a lot for the wiki to tell you, except here's the name of all the bosses, maybe some pictures. Oh, guide on how to beat him. Appreciate that, I'll tell you that right now. Titan Souls, my first playthrough, took me 7.5 hours. And it was mildly annoying. But okay, you can see that different communities, different games, different values. Titan Souls has a much kind of a more value on skill, just because of, I can see that because it has simple combat tutorials. Bastion's like, hey, did you miss anything? We got you covered, right? We're gonna tell you all of the weapons, like maybe give you the numbers on them, the levels, it tells you like how much experience there is, I guess. I'm not actually sure. And that's all well and good, you know? There's some guides. Oh, I can't click on guides. Okay. Oh no, yes, that was weird. We're actually not going to check that out. We're going to finish off. I wanted to mention that Bastion, that SuperGiantGames developed this game, right? They've made 2 games ever, which I think is very interesting. The game started, by the way, it was released at first on 2011 of July the 20th. Ooh, SuperGiantGames. It was released on Xbox Live, and since then it's been ported and ported and ported, and now it's just everywhere. And this company has gotten so famous off of one game. This game, Transistor, if I remember correctly, was kind of the community was underwhelmed by it. It's still a good game, but it's not Bastion, which is unfortunate for this company because from now on, because Bastion is their biggest game, everything they do is going to be compared to Bastion in some way. And Transistor as a game actually stands up quite well on its own. It's just in comparison to Bastion, it's not as good. Like you can see, it's been ported a bunch, so I'm sure it's a great game. But yeah, this company's only made 2 games. And they took 3 years to make this. This, I believe, was released in 2014. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Go ahead, check out SuperGiantGames, check out Bastion. Hopefully in the future I'll come back to this series and we'll do the last section of the game because I think that's going to be a lot more interesting. Thank you all for watching. My name is Nujum. I'm talking a little bit quietly, but whatever. Like, subscribe, enjoy the videos. I'll see you guys in my next one. Goodbye.